or it pushes down your comment to where I can't see it. So how I was able to tell the difference between reality and reawakening was because reality seemed fake. Reality was not as plausible as I remembered it to be. It felt like reality was a matrix, was a simulation. And that was the moment I knew that I had embarked on my spiritual awakening because I was searching for truth, truth in everything, truth
Mm-hmm.
in my family, within my bloodline, within my job, within life. In every aspect of my life, I was searching for truth. And that was how I was able to differentiate between reality and reawakening because reality felt so superficial.
Mm-hmm.
My job felt superficial. Walking outside and looking at people running to the train to go to work felt superficial. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, but it just felt like I was literally living in a simulation. So that was the start of my spiritual awakening. And I was telling them prior to you getting on me that tonight we're really going to deep dive into having a conversation because
Yeah.
this topic calls for it. And if you guys were able to peep the topic, we are talking about signs that your soul is awakening, signs that you are having a spiritual awakening, signs that you have had a spiritual awakening. Maybe you're not sure what the hell is going on. You're just like, okay, well, I feel XYZ, but I'm not sure why I feel these things. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. And I kind of want to open up tonight's conversation with asking you, B, if you don't mind,
Not at all.
what were some of the signs that you had when you first embarked on your spiritual journey? What was the aha moment that gave you clearance that you were having a spiritual awakening?
And I'm glad because I was going to answer that question anyway, and also answer your question, T Visionary, because for everybody it's going to be different.
Different.
And I'm saying this because there are some people. I will even go as far as to say some of you that's watching now, and those that will watch, in the time to come, that some of you are already awakened. You just don't know it until you come across that threshold. And what happens? And so, for example, for myself, I was already awakened, but I wasn't aware that I was awoke, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's
You
all
were
it's
conscious of it.
yeah, it's almost as if you seeing like night and day. So whereas Ash experience had her experiences, my experiences were different. So I always knew I was different. I just didn't know how. I didn't know why. I just knew that my perspective of the world was always different from everybody else. I always saw situations from
Yeah.
a different light, and I was always attacked because I saw things differently. And that's important
Mm-hmm.
because if you are a person that people are always attacking and like, why you got to be so different, and why you just can't follow along with the crowd, but you generally cannot go along with the crowd because in your heart space, in your inner soul, in your mind, you know that to go with the crowd is wrong. Like you have physical reactions to conversations, and it's almost like, no,
Yeah.
I can't do that. You are already awoke. um One of the things that happened for me to realize that was, and I tell everybody, I went to a shaman's conference online. It was all free for a week. And some of the things that the people begin to talk about, how they paid for services and paid for retreats, spending 12 to $1,500. And I was like, oh, I don't have that kind of money, so I guess I won't be awakening that way, right? But then listening to them and hearing them talk about things that I did on a daily basis, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I did that as a kid. I am doing this now. Oh, I've been spiritually awoke this entire time. I just didn't know it. And that's why it's important for you, for those of you who have children or who will have children, and you're awoke, it's important for you to teach the children now how to recognize
Yeah.
a spiritual gift, how to recognize what being awoke is, because I had
Yeah.
nobody to teach me.
Right.
And so now, even now, and as I'm saying this, because we're always transforming, we're always getting better, our gifts get stronger, our gifts, we sometimes we awake to new gifts, didn't like, I didn't know I could do that. And it's because
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly being awakened to who we are, to who spirit
Yeah.
truly and really called us to be in our core. And so
Mm-hmm.
once you have that realization, you will see things differently. You will learn how to speak
Yeah.
differently. Like, even there's
Yeah.
sometimes now, like even with my current job, like I can't explain to them why I'm having a bad week because they're not going to get it. And I'm like, it's not time for me to have a good week yet. And they're like, no, but you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And you should do this and you should do that. I can't do those things because no matter what happens, it's not going to work for me. It is not time. Because when you have been
Mm-hmm.
divinely appointed to do something, things like you trying to do it on your own is not going to work. Spirit says,
The
I
question.
have to be present. I have to take
Okay.
full control for it to work.
Question. Are you referring to the planetary transits or just you intuitively knowing that it's not time for you to have something good happen?
Glad you said that. So they kind of work hand in hand, right? So spirit is going to give you the in that, what is it? The inherent knowledge of what's for you and what is not for you, right?
Okay.
But you also have to pay attention to what's happened to the planetary alignments, because
Mm-hmm.
spirit is going to use those things. Spirit uses, I would just
Everything.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, everything to show you. Like,
Yeah.
I was frustrated earlier today, and this guy walks by, and his shirt literally said "Trust the process," and I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, I thought I
Spirit.
was trusting the process. That's why I'm not trying to
That's
really
spirit.
force things, right? Because it's that thing of when spirit wants to take control of your life, to open things for you, even that gift, you cannot be in the way, because when you get in
Right.
the way, you're telling spirit, oh, I got it, I don't need you. And spirit's like,
Right.
okay. And then nothing
Mm-hmm.
works. But when you say, okay, you have it, take it. I'm no
Take the
longer
wheel.
going to struggle. I'm not going to try to force things. Things start opening up for you. And it's very important for you to know that.
That is so true, Bestie. And I'm gonna build off of what you said because I like how you mentioned that it's imperative for us
Mm-hmm.
adults to teach our children how to be in tune and to not necessarily just be in tune, but to also trust yourself, because I think that was one of my setbacks. I think early on
Mm-hmm.
I intuitively knew something wasn't right, but because I didn't trust myself and I didn't have the verbiage, I couldn't articulate what wasn't right. So it's like I knew working this job every single day at this hour and getting 2 days off wasn't right. It didn't feel intuitively right, but I just couldn't articulate why it didn't feel right. My spirit knew it wasn't right. And then when I have my spiritual awakening, I see all of these signs and synchronicities. I'm seeing repeated numbers, and I'm like, how do I articulate that I'm starting to see all these signs and synchronicities without sounding crazy, like you said? Because once you start speaking in which they're like, wait, what? Like, what is this person talking about? So you have to
Mm-hmm.
be around like-minded people who truly understand where you're coming from, because the average person would be like, okay, you're seeing 444. Okay, you just saw 444. Okay, you see a dove in the sky.
Exactly.
You just saw a dove flying. They're not gonna like connect it to anything else other than it was a coincidence. And we all know once you have that spiritual awakening, nothing is a coincidence. So to also build off of your question, T Visionary 007, it was me just being able to see through the illusions and me being able to articulate why I knew something wasn't right, because I wasn't meant to work a 9 to 5, because I wasn't meant to sit in school and have someone tell me what I was going to do when I graduated. You know, it was like I am the author of my life. I control what happens next. With God, of course. Right. I didn't need someone else to help dictate my life. And truth be told, that's what happens. You're indoctrinated when you enter school. And, you know, you go through all these stages and phases, and it's frowned upon if you decide to move off course. You know, you got to stay on course. You got to graduate. You got to get a good job. You got to get a good name behind your name, you know, CEO, president, you know, Esquire, whatever. You know, it's frowned upon for you to veer off into the wilderness. Mm-hmm. So I say all of that to say that once you start to see through all the illusions, you realize that nothing is a coincidence, and you realize that you're here for a higher purpose. And when you find your higher purpose, it's imperative that you continue on finding why you're here and not just stop there, because there's always a what, when, and why. So it's up to you guys to find out why. That's my piece. And if you want to say anything, best be please, by all means.
Yes. It was something you said earlier, but it slipped my mind. But I will also say that another part of your soul awakening, thank you, Spirit just reminded me, what it was is that you're always going to feel out of place. It's the, if you've ever seen, I was trying to think of a movie that has this type of theme, because I know I have seen the movies, I just can't recall any of them at this time. But if you've ever seen a movie,
Matilda. What about Matilda? She always felt out of place.
Well, she felt out of well, yeah, Matilda felt out of place. But the example that I want to I'm more so giving is with The Sixth Sense. So if you like that. So the little boy was always seeing dead people, and he said to I forgot the guy's name, but he was saying, you know, I see dead people, but they don't always know that they're dead, right?
Right.
And so the whole entire time we're thinking he's talking to this little boy, and he's trying to figure out what's been happening with all these, you know, the deaths in the neighborhood. And then we get to the end of the movie and we find out that he's the dead one.
That he's dead too.
Yeah. And then if you watch, I'm an actor. I love digging deep, and I love movies that make me think. So I watched the director's cut. If you've never watched the director's cut in The Sixth Sense, I would suggest go watching it. It is, because they put clues in the movie, and you will recall. I do remember seeing this. I do remember seeing that. And when you see the clues, they said that they did it specifically because it represented something. And I'll just say one of the things was the color red. And it was like, but you only saw the color red after during certain events. And they explained to you why. And so that's what the awakening is like. It's like you see these things, but sometimes you may not realize what you're exactly seeing until it's pointed out to you. And when you do notice it, just like the little boy, he was like, I see dead people, but they don't know that they're dead. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, you're dead, you don't realize that you're
Uh-huh.
dead yet.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you can see a situation for what it is, but the people around you don't even see it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's been times, and I will say it's really gotten strong. I would go out to a bar and I would sit there and I would just sit and peep around the room. And all of a sudden, I would just get downloads about the situation that people were going through. But of course, I'm not going to vocalize it because they'll be like,
Yeah.
how do you know this? Right. But I literally
Well,
saw
yeah.
a situation unfold right in front of my eyes. And it was with it was a friend of mine. And I walked up to him and I said, I saw every bit of that. I saw the angle that you were coming from. I saw the angle that the other people were coming from. And I saw how you diffused the situation. And I said, you are a whole diplomat in these streets and people don't even know. And he looked at me like, how did you? And I said, I saw the whole thing. And guess what? Nobody said anything. They were all sitting across the room, but it was the way their body was positioned. And I was like, nobody else is seeing this but me.
That's a skill.
And I was,
That's a skill to be able to read body language. That's a skill.
yeah. And so it's those moments. It's you're gonna be in like a crowd of people and you're gonna be like, is nobody else seeing this but me? Is There's nobody else here, the crying baby in this room except for me? And if I say this, will somebody think that I'm crazy or have lost my marbles? Like what? Like you have those questions because it is
Mm-hmm.
literally your senses opening. That's why it's important to understand the different clairs because the clairs will definitely get you straight. The dares will help give you some peace. No, baby, you did hear this. You did smell this. You did
Mm-hmm.
see this, feel this. This thought did come up in your mind. Like, and I use the
But
clairs all
also,
the time.
Bestie,
Huh?
so do I. Like I've been using the clears more often than normal. But like you said, to build on what you said, you have to make sure that you're around like-minded individuals because if you get around the wrong type of people and your spiritual gifts are emergent or they just happen to come out, they will have you questioning your sanity. And then it's almost like you're siphoning your gifts. And if you don't use it, you lose it. I mean, it's kind of like riding a bike. You'll always know how to get back up and pedal, but if you don't exercise your spiritual gifts, you might
Mm-hmm.
lose them. So it's imperative that you guys are around like-minded individuals that are not necessarily walking the same path, but they understand spirituality and they're not going to ridicule you or make you feel singled out if you start to live in your spiritual gifts. That's important. That is so important because that's going to come
Mm-hmm.
out. The older, not so much the older, the wiser, thank you, Spirit, the wiser you get, you're
Yep.
going to start to basically be able to see through people, see through situations. You're going to start dreaming about every situation before it happens, dreaming about people that you haven't met yet. And that's Spirit's gift to you to help you on your way. And everybody doesn't have that gift. A lot of people are still trying to figure out who they are and who they're sleeping next to. So the fact that you have these spiritual
Listen.
gifts, you have to use them or you may lose them. Would you agree, Bestie? Because I find that if I don't really use my spiritual gifts, I almost don't trust myself
And
sometimes.
yes, and that's true. And I will even go further to say this, and this is not a rebuttal to what Ashley's stating. Let me be clear. This is not a rebuttal. I will even go on to say that for some people, um, it let me say it like this. It depends on the spectrum that you're on in spirituality. What meaning were these gifts that you developed, or were these gifts that you were naturally born with? Because there is a difference.
Okay,
Because you can
there is a
develop
difference.
certain
You're right.
gifts, right? That's I don't want to get into the politics of spirituality because it is what it is. But that's why you have some people that can develop spiritual gifts and others that have it naturally. But both have to learn
Right.
how to use it. But when you have been
Right.
born naturally with a gift, it you can attempt to shut it off all you want to, but it's still going to be there. It's just going to be lying dormant until something
That's
happens where you're
true.
going to use it. For example, I have a niece, and we were talking about spiritual gifts, and she let me know that she basically has psychic gifts too. And I said, well, you need to explore that. And she said, I tried. She said, but I kept seeing too much evil stuff. And so I got scared and I stopped. And I said, no, you have to keep going. I said, because I said, in our family, we have that gift. So no matter what, you're always going to see that. You just have to get used to seeing that. You now have to train your mental to go along with your spiritual, because remember, your mind is still a part of your physical body. That is why alignment is so important. That's why you have to be grounded. Because when you align your mind, your body, and your soul and your spirit in
Mhm.
one line, it all makes sense. And you recognize and realize, and I was going to state this earlier, so I'm going to say it now too. You'll recognize when it's time to be quiet and when it's time to say something. You'll recognize what when you're seeing in the spiritual realm versus when you're seeing in with basically when the spiritual realm is visiting the spiritual, I mean the physical realm, and you're trying to decipher, did I see a shadow just move across my room? Yes, you did. That is you, your physical eye seeing into the spiritual world. And vice
Yeah.
versa, when you're in the spiritual realm, your mind will be like, wait, did I really have a did I because we talked about out of body experiences a few weeks ago, did I really have an out of body experience, or was that a dream? No, you literally went somewhere, but your physical body felt it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very true. That is so true. And you guys have to remember that Earth is a school. Earth is a school. It's a school for you to learn. What lessons are you embarking on? And what lessons are you learning? Because if you're not learning, you're repeating. And you're going to repeat that lesson until you learn it. And who's it? There's no guarantee that you'll get another lifetime because a lot of you guys are awake. And I truly believe, in my humble opinion, that once you're awake, you go on to the next assignment. So I do not believe that I'm going to have to return to Earth. I think I have mastered this planet, this realm. And so I don't know where my next assignment will be. But be that as it may, I believe that once you master something, you move on to the next assignment. So if you don't want to get stuck, learn the lesson. Learn whatever lesson spirit is having you grow through so that you don't have to repeat it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all life is about, learning. And I was having this conversation with another close friend of mine, an Aquarius. You guys know I love Aquariuses. And she said, people need to be okay with just existing. And I said, that is so profound. I said, can you expound on that? And she said, yeah, because we are conditioned to think that we have to always be busy all the time, that we have to always be clocking in for something or preparing for something or finishing something. Sometimes your only assignment is just to exist. And that's okay. Because simply, if all you did today was exist,
Listen,
bravo. Chef's kiss. Because
exactly.
sometimes that's all you need to do. And life teaches you the total opposite. You got to get this done. You got to finish that project. You got to look for a job. Sometimes your only assignment is just to exist. And I think we have to be okay with not doing anything. Now, I'm not talking about being a lazy, you know what. I'm just saying sometimes you have to be okay with just simply existing.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know who that was for. Hell, it could have been for me, because I'm the type to always want to have something in my hand, whether it's a broom or whether it's a pen or whether it's my phone, trying to prepare for the next reel. Sometimes you just need to just be okay with doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
And I was just
And
going
I think that that's hard. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say that's the same point that I was making earlier about understanding when it's time for you to move and when you have to let spirit do what spirit does. Because
Mhm.
people wanted me to move, but I couldn't move. I had to just exist and be. So that when and let me tell you what happens when you do that, when you just simply be, and people are like, oh, well, this person ain't really got nothing going on. Oh, that person ain't really got nothing going on. They just sitting there. That's because they're not seeing what's happening in the spiritual realm. Because it's a lot of movement in the spiritual realm. And what happens is when it's time for you to shine, when it's time for you to move, when it is time for everybody to see why you have been stagnant or just sitting there, they will see it and they will recognize that, okay, heaven is working for this person. The universe is working for this person. Because how do you go from having negative $3,200 in your bank account and you wake up the next morning and you have over $5 million in your bank account and nobody can explain to you why? It's because that is some of the things that spirit has been working on for you on your behalf. It's things like that. That's where a lot of people start to see miracles, as they say. Um, and again, just going back to me understanding the word miracle, miracle is just that gleam in your eye because it's all magic. It's you manifesting the magic in your life that spirit has been saying, I have it for you. I have it for you. Don't give up. Keep pushing. Even though you look like, oh my goodness, I'm tired all the time. I'm feeling drained all the time. When is my breakthrough going to happen? Keep going. Just trust the process. It may not look like you're doing a lot of improving, but when the time comes, you're even going to recognize how much you've improved. Yeah.
Regardless, you got to keep on pushing. That is so vital. And spirit cannot give you the information that you need if you're always on the go, if you're always on the run, if you're always moving around. So sometimes you need to sit still. And what does sit still look like? It doesn't mean literally like the mannequin challenge. It just means you sitting in nature. It means you sitting down on a park bench. It just means you not doing anything with your hands, you not watching TV. It just means just really letting everything from the outside not to get in the inside so that spirit can speak to you. That's truly what it means by sitting still. Because when you let the outside in, it's a lot of noise, a lot of static, it's a lot of extra opinions that you don't really need. So it's just sitting still long enough for spirit to be able to speak to you. And you can only do that if you're not doing everything else. And I'm speaking to myself now too, because I have a habit of staying busy because I feel like I need to always get something done before a certain time. That might just be the mom in me, but I have to remember that if I don't have a cup that's full, I can't pour into anyone else's cup. And I need to sit still sometimes. Rest is imperative. For all the moms out there, y'all know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't even need to elaborate. So I'm so glad we had the conversation before the conversation, because I just wanted to get your intake on how you felt prior to your spiritual awakening, because I know that I was literally, I won't say going insane, but like I broke it down to T Visionary, those T Visionary 007. I had to learn how to articulate what was happening. So I had to learn the verbiage. Okay, what does it mean when you smell something? Okay, that's one of the clairs. What does it mean when you see something before it happens? Okay, like I had to learn what everything meant because I was experiencing it, but I didn't know how to articulate what was happening. So when I started to read up on all of these different terms and terminologies, that's when I was able to put the pieces together and connect all the dots.
Yeah.
So it was just me not knowing how to articulate what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
But like you said, B, I always felt like I was the black sheep and I didn't want to be a part of what everyone else was a part of. It wasn't imperative for me to go to college. If I went, I went. If I didn't, okay, I didn't go. It wasn't imperative for me to have a fancy job title or to work a 9 to 5. If I got a job in the field that I went to college for, great. If not, then I'll work someplace else. I always just felt like it wasn't a race for me to follow the herd. I was always, I won't say I was at a snail's pace, but I felt like I was moving at my own pace, you know?
Mm-hmm. Now,
Um,
I was reading,
you have comments.
yeah, 777 JBE. Can you explain a little bit what you mean by um, like you've yet to complete it? Like, do you mean like you try to start meditating, but you don't quite know how to meditate, or it's difficult for you to meditate?
And while she's clarifying that, how do you meditate, B? Because everybody meditates different. Do you meditate in a quiet space or do you need to be in
I
nature? How do you meditate?
I've done it all. I've done it in nature. I've done it in quietness. I've done it with music. Even I will listen to some guided meditations, but I genuinely let my intuition guide me to the meditation that I need to hear. Excuse me. So, for example, I went home. Well, you all saw me. I was home.
Yeah.
And so the day that I was leaving, it was Spirit said, meditate before you get on the road. So I sat outside and meditated, and it was good to hear nothing but trees and nature because I live in the city, so I'm always hearing cars or people talking, things like that, but not that quietness of nature. um and I look, I even, there was a thunderstorm, I even meditated during the thunderstorm because when it's very different living in the countryside or the suburbs surrounded by trees and there's a thunderstorm versus living in the city and having a thunderstorm. I promise you,
Yeah.
there's this silence and peace that's there, and all you have is the elements and nature just around you. Like when I was a kid, my mom would have to make me come inside anytime there was a hurricane. I would be sitting outside on our porch watching the trees literally go like this, the rain fall, lightning striking, and I'm sitting outside like, this is beautiful work, God, work. Like, I'm telling you, I had to be in the elements. And even when it came to fire, like burning things, like, I don't know, fire has always been an attraction for me. Um, and so, it's just something about being in the elements and in that space that you can't get in the city. Okay. And I did see your comment 777 JB. um but yeah, so one of the things that I do every morning is I try the when I wake up, and I'm not saying wake up like I'm still asleep, but it's like when I wake up, the first thing I do is go straight into meditation, although I've just woken up, because that gives me that time. Instead of me trying to figure out, oh, do I really want to get out of bed? Nope. Go straight to meditation. I'll turn on the music and listen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
And I first started meditating when I was in middle school, listening to R&B, rap, rock and roll. So don't let people think that it's always just music. I mean, like you just have to have music. No, just instrumentals. There we go. If that's what it takes for you to start it that way. Because what I would do was I would close my eyes and just listen to the music and listen to the lyrics, and whatever I was going through, it would work itself out, and I would be meditating and not even realizing it. And I think I shared this the last time, or the episode before the last time, where I was saying how I would zone out so fast and for so long that when I came back, I was just like, oh wow, I literally spent 4 hours listening to music and I never fell asleep. I knew I was awake. I just didn't know that time had gone that fast.
That's the way.
Yeah.
And
So
to build to what you just said, I think also 777 JBE, it's important for you to listen to your body, because your body is going to guide you to what feels most comfortable. So if your body is guiding you to go outside, then step outside, honey. If your body is guiding you to turn on some Tupac, like B said, you don't always have to listen to instrumentals. It's all about what is most comfortable for you. Everybody is different and everybody is different. So you may feel most comfortable listening to rap while you connect with spirit. Everybody is different. So do not rule out being in the house. Do not rule out being outside. Do not rule out listening to music that's not instrumental. It all depends on what you feel most comfortable listening to and what position you feel most comfortable being in. But I say the first things first is to listen to your body. Listen to what feel, or pay attention to what feels comfortable. And that just comes from just knowing yourself. Okay? When you're relaxed, your shoulders fall. You don't too much care about your posture. Your guard goes down. This is just how I feel when I'm relaxed. So how do you feel when you're relaxed? I guess that's a question you can ask yourself, because again, everybody is different. So yeah, I had to have that conversation with you because that was so imperative for us to just expound on how we felt prior to us having our spiritual awakening. And that pretty much hit all the bullet points that I was going to go over. I think that was a necessary conversation for us to have. But another sign that you guys can look at that will connect to you having your spiritual awakening is you feeling misunderstood, especially by those close to you. And this goes back, Bestie, to you feeling like, me feeling like that I was the black sheep in the family. Not that I got singled out, not that my parents treated me different. I'm not saying that. I just felt like I was different. Now, mind you, I'm different by the elements just off the gate because both of my parents are earth signs and I'm a fire sign. So the elements are different. I was raised by two earth signs. So of course, their focus is having a solid foundation, making sure I went to a great college, making sure I graduated on time, making sure every year I went to summer school so that I could graduate on time. Every day after school, I had to make sure I went to the library so I wasn't home with my mind being idle, because an idle mind is the devil's playground. Like, it was a routine, a rhetorical routine that I had. And I think that's just earth sign energy. So I always felt like a robot. You understand? So I don't know where I was going with that.
you were saying how you felt like the black sheep. Yeah.
Being misunderstood. Yeah, okay. So I say all that to say that at one point I felt misunderstood. I felt like my personality was too much. I was too spicy. Me wanting to do theater was, oh, you can't do that. There's no guarantee in that. Not that my parents said that, but I started to tell myself and convince myself of that. How are you going to do theater? There's no guaranteed career in theater. You can't major in that in college, because I very well wanted to major in that in college. So you're going to feel misunderstood because because as I said earlier, you are conditioned to believe that you have to rely on a system. What is the system? The school system. Okay, you have to have a certain job in order to be successful to make X amount of money. So we are conditioned to believe this from age 5. So when someone is taught that from a young age, they're going to believe it growing up and moving forward. So you guys may feel like you're not on the same path as a lot of people, and it's not that you're cold. You're just being called to protect your energy because you are a chosen one. So other people are not going to understand why you think the way you think, why you feel the way you feel, and why you move the way you move. And it's not really meant for everyone to understand. As long as you understand what you're doing, what your purpose is, that's really all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, stop explaining your healing or your purpose to people that will never understand where you're going or where you came from or what you're doing. All right, that will just only deter you away from where you are supposed to go, which is continuing to evolve. So we pretty much hit all the bullet points, Bestie. Outgrowing people, feeling like the black sheep. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we hit all the bullet points. Becoming more sensitive to energy. You hit on that early on in the conversation when you can essentially walk into a room and you already know what the energy is without even opening your
Oh,
mouth. That's how you
without.
know your spiritual gifts. That's how you, Bestie. I know you can attest to this. I know you don't walk in a couple rooms and you probably even walk right back out, or you probably said, "This ain't my group," or "This ain't my type
This
of
ain't
people."
it.
You know,
This ain't
you
it.
know.
Why you take the
And
long way
sometimes you don't
home?
even know.
Because I was led.
Sometimes you don't even know why you know, but your spirit knows, your soul knows. And that's another sign that you are spiritually inclined and you are embarking on your spiritual journey. You just know that you know something, but you don't know why you know something. That's another telltale sign. And Bestie touched on that earlier. So don't second guess yourself. When spirit whispers, most people only hear absolutely nothing. When spirit whispers to a chosen one, listen. It's a spiritual download. Listen when spirit speaks. And that's all I had, Bessie. If you want to touch on any other points that you know helped you through your spiritual journey, since this topic is, signs that your soul is awakening, please, by all means, touch on it. Each
I
one, teach one, reach one.
I have something to read. Spirit did tell me to pull an oracle card, and for the collective, this card came out, and it is Soul Child. So I'm going to read that because it's going to give clarity for a few things. I only read like a few lines and then I stopped. I was like, no, let me stop reading. So I'm going to primarily be listening as well. And it reads, spiritual rebirth is upon you, beautiful child of the universe. Your soul has been long preparing for new life, and it is starting right now. The divine moment of rebirth after a period of struggle, of intense inner work, and consequent inner transformation is here. Take time to emerge and enjoy getting to know this new self and the new life now beginning. It is a spiritual dawn, the beginning of a fresh chapter in your soul journey, and something to be acknowledged and celebrated. Take your time to explore, to test your wings, and take spiritual flight with a renewed sense of trust and confidence in yourself and your unique soul journey. You have endured a dying of the old order within your heart. You may sense that nothing is as it was, nor will it be so again. You have had to learn detachment, to release and let go. You have traversed a symbolic inner death as you surrendered all that was necessary to support your soul healing. This has not always been easy for you, yet you summon the courage and dignity to move through your process. Through this process, your soul has been gathering life, energy, drawing it away from the old forms of your life and relationships, from your old beliefs about health, finances, work, and what used to hold meaning for you, and storing it in your subtle energy body in order to feed your soul. An inner soul child, a newly integrated self, is ready for birth now. You will naturally yearn to move in new ways and connect with fresh experiences. You are ready, even if like a newborn colt, learning to stand steady on shaky legs. You are not sure of your strength. Be reassured that the new self you are experiencing now is going to grow strong and powerful soon enough. You do not need to push yourself unduly. Have confidence and readiness, but also patience. Reflect upon how different you are now from a year or even a month ago. Notice the changes that are already happening, one experience at a time. Do not expect the same reactions or attitudes to arise. Be curious and take time to learn who you are now, a more healed and real you. This card can also indicate that a child around you, perhaps one that you have been thinking about deeply of late, is needing extra prayers of spiritual support or guidance to ground and embrace their unique soul journey. It is also a sign that a new business idea, relationship, professional or personal, or a lifestyle choice is going to support your soul development, leading to the birth of creative new programs, ideas, and structures in your life. If something has been flagging in energy or success, but you are not yet inclined to give it up, excuse me. Okay.
Bless you.
I find that as a synchronicity because that is a sneezing is a form of release. Just to share that with
There you
everyone.
go.
Sneezing is a form of release. If something has been flagging in energy or success, but you are not yet inclined to give it up, this oracle comes as confirmation and encouragement to continue. Rebirth is going to happen. A positive transformation will lead to a revival. Do not give up. Have patience and confidence as you continue to nurture the dream. Your invocation: I am a child of the universe, divinely loved and empowered to grow into a shining, radiant soul of love. May all aspects of my life journey be blessed to grow into their most beautiful and loving form. May all the people and ideas in need of protection in order to grow into their divine fullness be blessed and supported by unconditional love. Through divine grace, so be it.
So let it be. Ashe, ashe, ashe. You know what I heard? What stood out the most? Healing so that you can relearn yourself. Because
Yes.
you really have to heal in order to know who you are to the core. And I think we spoke about that a couple of episodes ago. Who you are is not necessarily your true essence. It's
Mm-hmm.
what you've been through. It's who you have made yourself to be because of your trauma. When you heal, that's when you're able to reconnect with the real you, who
Exactly.
you were when you way before you were a speck in your mother's eye, who you are from the ethers, your ethereal spiritual body. And so that's why it's so essential for healing to take place because it truly reconnects you with who you are, the true essence of you, not who you became after the trauma, not the wall, not your representative, the true you. And 777 JBE said, God bless you.
Oh, thank you.
So that definitely wasn't synchronicities. sneezing is releasing. So somebody out there needs to release something. Don't know who
Yeah.
that was for. Hell, could have been for me. Someone needs to release something. And it's okay because when you love something, you let it go. You know, if it comes back to you, it's
It was
yours. And
meant.
sometimes you get something better. Sometimes something better comes back, but you won't know until you release it. When you hold on to something, especially with a death grip, sometimes that something's just going to stay stagnant. When you release it, then it's able to say, okay, well, now that I'm free, I can experience what I need to experience, and maybe I'll decide to experience it with you, but I won't know until I get out there. So that was for somebody. So you already know what time it is. It is time to ask. We have a lot of new viewers on, so hopefully a brave soul will come forward to the front of the church and ask. B, it's your chance to ask any question under the sun, all right? And he will let the cards do the talking. Love, past life, career, that weird dream you had last night. Nothing is off limits. Now is your time to ask B. And while you guys are pondering if you're going to ask me a question or if you're just trying to figure out, oh, goodness. Okay, we have a question so far. B, you want to tackle it?
Yes, let me see. Vivacious, ferocious. Oh, and ferocious. Okay. Lively and scary. I love it. So here's my thing. There has been so much significant trauma in my childhood and young adolescent life that my survival instincts blocked out a lot of memory. I struggle today with finding my old. My question is, how do I find my old self? Um, you don't. You don't. What you do is you heal from the trauma and you went through those things for a reason. One, you agreed to go through that. And I know you just like what? When you realize that we all had a contract with God, with spirit, the universe, whatever, however you call the higher power, we agreed that we would go through certain things to develop X, Y, and Z. I would suggest going to Ashley for a birth chart reading, and that will help you understand why you went through some of the things that you went through. Because it's a boot camp for how easy those things become in the future. Like there's things that I went through pertaining to love as a youth that now at this age, um, my investing knows why I did that. With this age, I now recognize and see things that I will not do that I did when I was 18. I now will not put up with things now that I put up with things back then. And so when it pertains to the memory loss, when you begin to heal, your mind will start to unlock and you will begin to remember things. Now, depending on how traumatic it is, you must be ready to be able to face those things that maybe you have locked and pushed to the back of your mind. I am picking that up now. And I'm being told to tell you to, you should really look into what is it, EMDR therapy, because that will unlock some things. But you have to be ready right here, because what you do is you unearth things that you push to the back of your mind and you told yourself, I don't ever want to remember this. But with that, it it forces you to face the fear, face the trauma. It forces you to love yourself even more for going through that. It's very similar to I don't know why all of a sudden I just want to keep calling it a shadow book. but a shadow workbook, because what it does is it also teaches you how to pour into yourself while pushing that negative energy out of you. It takes you back to different traumas so that you can look at it, so that you can heal the younger you who didn't know how to fight. I guarantee now that you know how to fight for yourself now, especially with this name. Your vivaciousness and your ferociousness wouldn't have been had you not gone through those things.
Mhm.
I
Right.
I'm seeing I we don't know each other, but I promise you what I'm seeing in my mind is like this G.I. Jane type of person, right? It like what I'm literally seeing is like instead of running away from the war, you walk towards it like, okay, well, what's going on? Like, what's up? How can we? And you look good. Hair's pulled back. I promise you, this is what I'm seeing in my third eye right now. Hair pulled back. You relaxed. You got on like a gym clothes, like a gym shirt or whatever, nice jeans, and you just like everybody's running this way. You got tanks and explosions happening, and you just like, what's up? What's going on? What we need to handle? It's like you're not afraid to do the work when it's necessary, but you do have to prepare yourself when it's the inner work, because you will go back to your most vulnerable state of being, even being vivacious and ferocious. And when we all have to take a look at that person, when we all have to be vulnerable, that's when that's when we start to push the brakes and we start to have to push back. That's when we're like, okay, I don't want to, okay, I thought I wanted to get on this ride, but you know what? Before y'all take off, let's unbuckle me. I don't want to get on this ride no more.
And also, you got to remember too that words have power. So
Mm-hmm.
just you having the name vivacious and ferocious, like Bessie said, like you're untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
You are literally untouchable, and that's the reason why I named this Instagram page Love Anye, because I know someone gonna love me. Anye is my middle name. I know y'all gonna love Anye. Words
You're
are
gonna
powerful. So
love
just you having the
me.
name vivacious, ferocious, girl, I wouldn't want to mess with you, okay? I wouldn't want. Listen, I wouldn't want to go up against you. That's all I'm saying. With a name like that, so anything that you feel like you cannot overcome, the name itself has overcome it. And when Bessie was touching on something, I wanted to intervene, but I wanted you to finish first. But
Mm-hmm.
the old you is already gone. You don't want the old you back. And a lot of times, and I do this unconsciously, I rewrite my identity based on my trauma. So whoever you were in the past, that person is gone. Who you are right now is the present. Who you will be tomorrow is the future.
Yeah. No, you definitely didn't do anything wrong. I promise you. I understand. There's a story quickly that I'll say. My grandmother was a witch, and my great grandfather was a witch. The family tried to hide that, but I knew of it, right? So as a kid, I had, like I said, I always been spiritually aware and tapped in. I had these experiences, but I truly thought my grandmother did something to me. I was like, Dad, did my grandmother put a hex on me? Like, what's going on? Like, am I the only one that's experiencing these things? Not realizing that I was already tapped in. So I totally get when you feel like you're going through something like, what, Dad, what did I do to deserve this? Like, oh my goodness. So I'm glad that we were both able to help you and guide you to you accepting, embracing, and loving your new self. Because I'm telling y'all, it's a bad woman right here, y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Listen, I already let her know with a name like that, I wouldn't want to go up against her. And also remember
Bad
too,
woman.
God gives his strongest soldiers the toughest battles because God knows that they can handle it and they're not going to abort the mission. So the fact that you had to go through all those trials and tribulations, God knew you were going to come out on the end and still be ferocious and vivacious. So that's the reason why you were given all of those, you know, hiccups
Mm-hmm.
and healed because God knew that you were going to come out on top. And look at you now. You still shining. You are still shining. So that's the reason why he gave you that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew you were going to annihilate the mission, okay? You were going to conquer it. I almost said divide and conquer. So I hope that helps. Really, truly hope that helps. And thank you for being so brave to come forward.
And
I truly appreciate, love, and value you.
And I want to shout you out again too, because we have never had somebody to quickly have an Ask B. So I was like, wait, that's a question already. I'm here for it.
Already.
I'm here for
I
it.
love it. That shows right there that her spiritual gifts are on point because before I even was able to ask the question, remember it's a delay on their end. So she came in quick with the question before I
Right.
even opened up the floor. So that right there tells you you already got your spiritual gifts, hunty. Your spiritual gifts are already have been signed, sealed, and delivered. It's yours, okay? Signed, sealed, and delivered. Because there's a delay. So the fact that you came in with that question before I even opened up the floor shows you right there that you are spiritually gifted, okay? So tap into those gifts.
777 JBE. I have a message for you. Um, to hopefully you're still on. Hopefully you're still on. Um, what I'm seeing is that, and I know it's hot. I know it's hot. I know it is hot. But what I'm seeing is you sitting by a campfire and listening to the flames burn the wood. I don't know if that's what you listen to sometimes to go to sleep, but I'm seeing that as a way for you to start off your meditation. Um, and you don't have to meditate for a long time. Like I'm seeing 3 to 5 minutes, and that will help start you start your journey. But I am seeing like you sitting in front of fire or like a campfire, and you just listening to it burn.
I almost hear the fire crackling. Is that not wild? Like I can hear the fire crackling right when you said that. That is
That,
wild.
like that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing a whole, and I was because I was about to answer, and I was like, wait, that wasn't vivacious though. Then it was like, oh, okay, got it. So and that's this is what I'm saying, people. Like you will have a download, it spirit will drop something in you, but divine timing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all divine timing.
And your spiritual gifts will be amplified the longer you spend cultivating them. And Bessie can attest to this. At some point, you're going to be able to know what you know without even knowing how you know, and know what to do about what you know. Like that's just a riddle in itself. But that's how spirit works. But you won't be able to amplify those gifts until you spend time with yourself.
Well, child, they definitely came in and answered because I was just like, uh, okay. It's like one of those. It yeah. To paint a picture of how spirit works with me and how the ancestors work, because I do have a mediumship gift. Sometimes it's almost like I uh I hate to interrupt your scheduled programming, but I need you to say this to this person, and I'm like, oh, okay. So that's a real thing for me. Oh wow. Oh,
Wow.
so well, maybe it was for both of you. But yeah, like I promise you, I'm literally seeing campfire.
That's wild. Spirit is definitely in the building.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, which is also a sign and a synchronicity because Bestie had no idea. How would he have known that? This is his first time meeting you.
Yes.
That's crazy.
it's another
Insane.
it's another synchronicity for me too, because so when I was shuffling the oracle deck, the card that fell out for me is initiation by fire, and this is what it looks like. And spirit said that's for you. And when I went to shuffle again, then the what was it, the soul child card popped out, literally jumped out of the deck. I said, oh, okay.
Wait, 777 JBE.
Move to them. Yes. Yeah, and let me tell you something, 777. When spirit gets you to move to a place like that, yeah. Oh, look, Ash Vivacious is a Sag too. See?
I was just look, I was writing in the comments, ew, Sagittarius,
Listen.
girl. You don't beat me to it.
So, but yeah, so when spirit gets you to move like that, it is literally a fresh beginning. Like the city that I'm in now, and I still haven't announced it, but the city that I'm in now, I was fighting it, but I literally had 7 signs, 7 different things, 7 different people, and a GPS system, no lie, to tell me that I'm supposed to be here. And I was like, the only way that's going to happen is if the man upstairs makes some things happen. Why did I say that? Because everything things start falling into place one after the other. Even to the point with me moving, getting a rental truck that will pull my vehicle at the time to my new state. And I'm thinking it cost like 1,200, $1,300. When I found the receipt, I only spent $750, and I got 200 of that back. And I said, "Oh wow, like this, okay." So spirit will literally make things work in your favor.
Look at God. Look at God.
Yep. And even now, like I was talking to someone and they were like, well, why are you here? And I said, I can't tell you why I'm here. I was sent here. So everything that I do in this state, in this city, it's divinely appointed, because I still don't know why I'm here. I wanted to
And
go to New York and be with my bestie. Okay. I
well,
am not in New
what did we
York.
say earlier? What did we say earlier? Sometimes our only mission is to simply exist.
Exactly.
Sometimes
We
it's just
did say
sitting
that.
still and literally existing. But I was gonna say, vivacious, ferocious, that because you have that Sagittarian energy, that archer essence, that's a masculine sign. And so we being Sagittarius, if we have to be conscientious of our energy being so heavy and so dominant and so powerful and so passionate. And sometimes I forget that when I'm having a simple conversation, I'll be going in and it's like, okay, whoa, 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 slow your roll, shorty, okay? And I have to remember that our energy is very dominant. It's very dominant. So you just having that energy, having that essence, having that ethereal energy, you're gonna dominate any task, any job, anything that you want to take over. You're going to dominate it. You already have that in you. Remember, our sign is the archer. It's the bow and arrow. We're the only sign that has a weapon. Use it, sis. Okay? Use that weapon, that bow and arrow. We're the only sign that has it. So use it. Use it when need be. Don't just be shooting. Because, okay, use it when need be. But we're the only sign that has that arrow. So when I find I need to use it, I'll take it out. So you differentiate between when you need to use that arrow. But yeah, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is a masculine sign.
And it's currently in the sign of Cancer. And guess what?
Okay.
I am a Cancer with Sagittarius placement, so I understand how the Sagittarius thinks it operates, like I truly do. And I will say that when I need to get something together, my Sagittarius side will take the reins and be like, Cancer, I love you, but we got to do this for me, for us, okay? And just let me take the steering wheel. And when the Sagittarius side of me take that steering wheel, baby, just know and believe everything is okay.
And sometimes he will sit you down, sis. Listen, sometimes that's your assignment, like we said, just to be peace, be still. Sometimes that's your assignment.
Listen.
Just to be still and to listen to what spirit has to say. Sometimes that's our only assignment, to sit still and listen. And that's why it's so important, like Bessie said earlier, to understand yourself on an astrological level, because it goes beyond the sun sign. Yeah, that's my sun sign. I'm a Sagittarius, but guess what? I think and react and move out here like an Aquarius. Okay? That's my moon sign and that's my Mars sign. So I'm very much Sagittarius, but I'm still in the same breath very much Aquarius. But the way that I love, it's strict over here. Capricorn all day. I don't play. Listen, tighten yourself up, all right? Because it's strict over here, baby. So there's levels to this itch. But once you get that birth chart and you understand and understand who you are on an astrological level, a lot of things will start to make sense. Because I didn't understand why I was so spiritually free, but I ain't play when it came to love. That's because I'm a Sagittarius sun, but I'm a Venus in Capricorn. So I play all day, but you ain't finna play with my heart. That's when I draw the line, okay? So yeah, it's important to get that birth chart reading, because that will explain a lot of things. Because you are more than just your sun sign. It goes beyond the sun. Girl, yes, and we do this every Tuesday. We're getting ready to close it out just so it's not too long, because it's already 12 and some change, and I got to get up early. My kids are going to camp tomorrow. So yes, we do this every Tuesday, same time, same place. Sis. We are so glad you clicked. Listen, make sure you click next week too. Every week we have a new topic, and every week we bring in the conversation, a hot, muy caliente conversation, and then we usually end it with cards for asking. It depends on how we feel. But I liked how we did it today, B. The whole actual conversation. I think I like that flow better. I mean, how do you feel? Do you think we should keep this up? We're already like 90 episodes in, but I think I like this.
Yeah, like
I think I like this way best.
And I think it's because it's allowing the viewers to kind of see our growth too. Yeah. Because as you notice, like for those who've been here at the beginning, I will pull a lot of cards, but now Spirit is dropping a lot more downloads to me than me having to use the cards. Let me say that. Yeah.
11 p.m. says. And we upload
Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for clarifying that. Yep. And we do upload it every week. So in case you guys missed it or you had to click out, you fell asleep, whatever the case may be, we definitely upload it. So after we click out and end this live, it will be uploaded so that you'll be able to watch it, share, and all of the above. So with that being said, this will conclude tonight's episode. No, thank you. We do this for you, boo. We do all of this for you. This is for you guys. We are just a vessel. Like we said, we're here to give you the tools that you need to help heal yourself, but we are just a vessel. You guys are the reason why we come on here. So thank you for joining us, and we really hope that you come and join us next week as well for another spicy topic. vivacious, ferocious. So
I don't know who asked
remember
the
that.
question or has a thought, but I just heard rose water and oranges. Take it for whoever that is. Rose water and oranges. It's like the orange peel.
That sounds like a perfume.
It
I need to
does.
try that. I need to try that.
I know for me
Okay.
because I want to know what it smells like now. But I heard rose
I
water
might
and
gotta
orange
try
peels.
that. I might gotta try that. So, okay, so this will conclude tonight's episode of Cards and Conversations. Guys, remember the cards don't dictate your fate, they simply illuminate your choices. So choose wisely, love deeply, and stay aligned. And we will see you guys next week. Same time, same place, Cards and Conversations, where every episode unfolds a deck of intriguing discussions. We'll see you next week, guys. Love y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Hey guys,
For those of you that are watching on YouTube, thank you. And I did want to share that in November, and I'll get the date soon enough. I will be going to a conference in Belize. If you would like to join me, please inbox me. Please leave a comment on the video or message me on Instagram. And because it's for an ancestors uh, conference, ancestors healing conference. Now we did one last year in Puerto Rico. I could not attend, and I'm still having. I think I have several and multiple reasons as to why I need to do that soul journey on my own. But Belize is in November, and I will be attending. And I would love for you all to join us because we are getting into the cultural practices of Belize. We're also getting into the historical factors of Belize and understanding, what are our similarities, what are our differences, and how we come together and unite in this world. And we're doing it one country at a time, or one, if it's not a country, right? One culture at a time. That's the best way of saying it. One culture at a time. And if you are a viewer to watch and you would like for us to explore your culture, please let me know that as well. And we can talk to you about how we can come to your home country. But again, thank you for tuning in and have a good night.